Hello there, everyone. Welcome to Blue Jackets. It's a fun Blue Jackets themed podcast. My name is Kevin, and joining me tonight is my co-host Hefty Duck. And as always, we invite people to come on the show. If they show up, cool. If not, there's always next time. We got some stuff to talk about going on in the Blue Jackets world. We have Blue Jackets prospect CAYDEN LINDSTROM is going to Michigan State to play hockey this upcoming October. We're going to talk about that and what could that mean for the Blue Jackets. We're continuing our player report card series. 3 more players to talk about. We have Eric Gabranson, Jordan Harris, and Justin Danforth. How did they do? We're going to talk about that. Sean Monahan makes Blue Jackets history. He is the first player in Blue Jackets history to get the Bill Masterton Trophy. We're going to talk about that. Dean Evison finished 5th in Jack Adams trophy voting, and that's ridiculous. He should have been higher than that, at least top 3. And we're going to talk about that and so much more. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Oh yeah, welcome in everybody. Thank you for being here. Big shout out to our audio listeners. If you too are watching live and want to listen to us or something, we always upload the audio podcast on Spotify, podcast, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Wonder how many more times I can say the word podcast before it gets annoying. Yeah, don't forget to like, subscribe wherever you're watching from. The majority of you are watching from Twitter. We know. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for following. But yeah, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on YouTube. All the places that we're at. Move that. There we go. Yeah. Anyway, so we got another fun-filled episode today. We got actually a lot to talk about. It's the off season, but there's just not much slowing down. It seems. I mean, we got CAYDEN LINDSTROM, we got Sean Monahan talk about Dean Evison, Danforth. I mean, shit. Mitch Marner, Pavel Chayon, Provorov. Anyway, all those things and more coming up at you. But let's start with our main title theme, and that is, or what slide do you got first?
I got CAYDEN LINDSTROM.
Okay, sweet. That's what I thought. So CAYDEN LINDSTROM. So last week, he had rejoined the Medicine Hat Tigers in order to play their championship game, and they ended up losing that final game, unfortunately. But since then, CAYDEN LINDSTROM has committed to Michigan State next year. So this comes in the wake of the recent rulings that you like last year, that you're now able to go back and forth from playing minor league hockey and college hockey. Because before, once you left college hockey to play in a different league that was like a adult minor league, you were no longer allowed to play college hockey. So that's nice that he's able to do that at Michigan State. What are your thoughts on this, Kevin?
Yeah, so there was, of course, this has been in the rumors for a bit now that he was going to go to Michigan State, and we've talked about this on the show that, there were multiple Big Ten schools that were looking at Blue Jackets prospect CAYDEN LINDSTROM. Ohio State was one of those schools too, Michigan State, and maybe Michigan. I know there was another Big Ten school in there. But ultimately, it turns out to be Michigan State, and Aaron Portzline is the one that was correct on this because he kept on saying Michigan State, Michigan State, Michigan State. Anytime he'd read something, whether it be an article or something on his Twitter page, he would always say Michigan State. He was proven to be correct. So good on you, Aaron Portzline, for that. As for CAYDEN LINDSTROM going to Michigan State, this is what you want. There are programs that are historically good. Michigan State is one of those. You want a guy like CAYDEN LINDSTROM, who is one of your top prospects, to go to a place that is historically good and knows how to develop talent. That is very important. You want to put your best prospects in the best environment possible. And so that means, generally speaking, you want to put them at a Minnesota. You want to put them at like a Boston College. You want to put them at a Michigan or a Michigan State. And that's exactly what the Blue Jackets did. CAYDEN LINDSTROM is off to Michigan State, and this is a good move. How good has Michigan State been? Well, I'll show you. So, Michigan State has won 3 national championships in 1966, 1986, 2007, twice the runner-up in the Frozen Four. Let's see here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times in the Frozen Four. NCAA tournament appearances. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29 times they've been in the NCAA tournament. And then how many, let's see, conference championships in the tournament? Conference tournament champions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. How many regular season conference championships? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So as you can see, they're pretty good here. They get national championships. They make it to the Frozen Four. They make the NCAA tournament a lot. And when it's time to go win your conference, they also do that a lot. So, yeah, that's how good Michigan State has been. And also, just look at how good. Look at this picture right here. We'll load this up right here. But get back. Hey, get back. Get back here. Get back here. All right. Look at this. This is an outstanding hockey setup. This is the type of environment that you want your top prospect to be at. You want him in this type of atmosphere. And this, we love Ohio State, but this is what we mean when Ohio State needs to be better at hockey. You need better hockey facilities. This destroys the shot. It's not even close. What Michigan has is way better. What Minnesota has is way better. What Penn State has is way better. You need to step up your game, Ohio State. The shot is awful, and the women play at a pee-wee rink, which is not good. This needs to be better. And I'm not just saying this just to say this, but I guarantee you that Ohio State loses on guys that could come to your school because they see where they're going to play and all the facilities and go, nope. And then I'm going to go to Michigan State. I'm going to go to Michigan. I'm going to go to Minnesota. It needs to be better. So this is perfect. CAYDEN LINDSTROM going to a good hockey school like Michigan State is perfect. You want him in this type of environment. Also, I've been reading some stuff on Michigan State. They're really going for it this upcoming season. They got guys that are coming back. They are trying to throw NIL money at a bunch of guys to get them to come. Like, they And CAYDEN LINDSTROM was one of those guys that they tried to get, and obviously they got him. But they're really trying hard to just be really good and just see how far you can go. See if you can win another Big Ten championship, another NCAA tournament appearance, Frozen Four, national championship. Like, they're really going for it. So overall, I know I've kind of gone on a little rant here, but overall, this is exactly what you want. You want your top guys like a CAYDEN LINDSTROM going to this. You want them at a good place where the school is historically good at hockey. They know how to develop talent. That's what you want. So overall, good move there for Blue Jackets
Yeah,
prospect
and
CAYDEN LINDSTROM, who's
realistically,
going to Michigan State.
yeah, yeah, like being in Ohio State would have been great because he'd been close to home, but Michigan's really not that far away.
No.
And then he's also not that far away from Cleveland as well, where the Monsters play, where he could
No.
end up doing some development at certain times, maybe in the off season or something like that. Because you'd want him a bit around people his own age.
Yeah.
But then, I'm curious if would they be allowed to have him at the Blue Jackets at their NHL camp next year?
No.
Right on.
The only thing that he can do is he can go to the Blue Jackets development camp.
Oh, okay.
He can go there, but he cannot go to training camp. He cannot participate in the Traverse City, in the rookie tournament. They don't do Traverse
Okay.
City anymore, but I'm just so used to them doing it, so I just say it out of
Yeah, me
habit.
too. I know, right?
Just out of habit. But no, CAYDEN LINDSTROM, he cannot go to the prospect tournament. He cannot go to training camp. The only thing he can do with the Blue Jackets is go to the development camp. And then after that, that's it. Because Aaron Portzline was talking about this in one of his recent articles, is that he's coming, he's coming into town, visiting Columbus. He's going to do the development camp. And after that, he's leaving and he's going back up to Michigan State to participate in some off-season, practices and other activities for Michigan State. And then once that's done, he's going back home. So like once he's done with the development camp, that's it. The Blue Jackets are not going to see him until he comes for the Blue Jackets. So
So do you know, is he only going to be spending like 1 year there then, or is it going to be like a 2-year thing?
I haven't seen anything about that yet, but if I had to take a guess, it's probably 1 to 2 years. And another thing is, a guy like a CAYDEN LINDSTROM, he is going to benefit from that new ruling because it's better suited for him to be in a situation where he can play against better competition, which is what he's going to be doing when he plays at Michigan State. He's going to be playing Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan and so on and so forth. Like you're going to be playing against better competition and who you're better suited for compared to guys in junior, which are still good players, but just not as good. And it's a small sample size, but the games that CAYDEN LINDSTROM did play in this season, he looked really good and he stood out, and he kind of maybe like, okay, well, maybe he shouldn't be playing here anymore. That go find a different place that's better suited for you. And that's what a place like Michigan State is. And again, would have been cool. Would it be cool to be at Ohio State? Yeah, but they're not there. Historically speaking, Ohio State is just kind of average at best when it comes to hockey from the men's side of things. I know the women, they've just been really good in national championships and Frozen Four and multiple NCAA tournament appearances, and that's awesome. But for just this discussion, we're talking about the men, and historically it's just average at best, and they just don't produce the talent that you want at top level. You just don't. You don't see a, you know, a Johnny Gaudreau or a Jack Eichel. You don't see a Kent Johnson, an Adam Fantilli, or a Zach Werenski type of a player come out of Ohio State. You just don't. And the way Caden Lindstrom is projected, he's projected to be top talent, first line, second line center, elite, big, physical, score goals. That type of talent, you want him at a Michigan or a Minnesota or a Michigan State. Sorry, you don't want it at Ohio State. Now, maybe that can change and Ohio State men's hockey gets going to where they're better consistently and can prove that they can develop elite talent and they get better hockey facilities, then yeah. But right now, no. That's the unfortunate reality. It's just not there. And it's going to be there until Ohio State makes the decision to be better at hockey consistently and put more effort into it. That's just how it is. So overall, it's a good move for Caden Lindstrom to go to a school like a Michigan State. That's just how it is. It doesn't have to be like that, but as of right now, that's how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And makes a lot of sense to me. Maybe he's also interested in getting a degree while he's there.
And I saw and then I saw this recently, and I'm going to put it up on the screen. And it makes sense. If you think about it, Caden Lindstrom was in an NHL environment from last summer up until the end of this season. He was at the development camp. Anytime the Blue Jackets had an event, he was there. From the candlelight vigil of Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau, he was there. There was a team get-together at an Ohio State football game. He was there. There was a Halloween party that the Blue Jackets players had. He was there. He was seen hanging out with Boone Jenner and Eric Branson. Caden Lindstrom was seen at practice. He was seen hanging out in the Blue Jackets locker room. He was seen at Blue Jackets games. He was at the Blue Jackets outdoor game all season long, and he sees Don Waddell and he's talked to Dean Evison and a bunch of all this other stuff. He's in this NHL environment all season long. And I'm going to put this up on the screen so that you can see it. A reason why Caden Lindstrom picked Michigan State, because from Caden Lindstrom's perspective, he thinks that Michigan State runs their practice like an NHL team. And I wonder if Caden Lindstrom, being in a NHL environment this past season, influenced that to why he picked Michigan State. Because look, I have, put it up there on the screen, which is, quote, this is Caden Lindstrom, an article from the Columbus Dispatch, said, quote, "They run their practices like an NHL team. I mean, their coaches are unbelievable, and just the whole team. I really love the atmosphere around there. They were just so dialed in, and that's what I like. All the guys there just trained and worked so hard, and that really caught my eye."
Yeah. Well, just a little bit of info on their head coach, Adam Nightingale. Sweet name, by the way. Freaking sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Great hockey name. So he played in the NHL. Or he was college player, ECHL, but he did video coaching for the Sabres in 2017 season, video coach for Detroit Red Wings. So he's got that NHL experience. And then in 2020, he was head coach for the USA USA hockey national team, the development program under 17 team. So that's pretty neat. He's got some good experience behind him. And it's possible maybe some of the staff for the Blue Jackets know some of the staff over there too. Who knows? That's what I'll look into that a little bit more because they have like Chris Luongo. He's he played in the NHL for the Red Wings, the Sens, Islanders, back in the '90s, and I guess that was to the 2000s as well. But so yeah, he's coaching there at Michigan as well, and
See,
yeah, so that could be a good reason too. Just knowing the coaches, knowing the staff, knowing kind of what their styles might be, and hoping to prep him for Evanston's style here in
right.
a year or two.
And this what CAYDEN LINDSTROM said, oh, they run their practice like an NHL team. That is a common theme that I've seen this among different Big Ten schools. I've seen that being said about Minnesota. I've seen it said about Michigan. And obviously now with Michigan State, that there's just some schools that they just get it and they just take it to a whole new level, and that they get their guys ready, not just for now, but for that next level, should they make it there. And most of these guys obviously do. I remember when I was taught, I was standing right next to Zach Werenski's dad at our bar before a Blue Jackets game this season, and he was talking to Jake Christensen's dad, and he was telling the story about how when Zach Werenski was at Michigan, that they really did just about anything they could to help you within reason. That, hey, what do you need help with? Hey, you got a big test coming up. How can we help you with that? We can help you study. We can do this, and this, and this, and we can talk to your professor. We can do this, blah, 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 and all this. And, hey, we want to make it, you want to make it to the NHL. This is how you can do it. We can help you. We're doing this, and this. And here, this is our workouts. You got to do this. And this is how you should eat. And, this, our practices, this is how you should practice, and skating drills, shooting drills, whatnot. And this is what you need to do, this, all this other stuff. And just telling it all this stuff that they get guys ready for the next level. It was impressive to hear. So I think it's interesting that, there's some schools that take it to a whole new level. A Minnesota, a Michigan, or in this case, according, what CAYDEN LINDSTROM says, Michigan State, that get their guys ready for the next level.
Yeah, that's really interesting to think about and kind of neat.
So one last time, Blue Jackets prospect CAYDEN LINDSTROM is going to go play hockey at Michigan State this upcoming season. And yes, when he does score, he scores a goal, we will be featuring that on the show. I'm just saying this now. There's going to be a lot of Michigan State talk because of CAYDEN LINDSTROM. Just like there was a lot of Michigan talk because they had our prospects. And obviously,
Yeah,
from Gavin Brindley to William Whitelaw, we're now going to the other Michigan school. It's going to be Michigan State because of CAYDEN LINDSTROM.
yeah, at least this season.
At least this season. Who knows?
See how the draft goes.
See how the draft goes. And that's another thing too. You just brought that up there, Hefty Duck, is that, historically the Blue Jackets like getting Michigan guys, and there's a guy or two that they usually draft from Michigan, and it happens. So again, it may happen this draft because there's historically the Blue Jackets like picking dudes from Michigan. So it may happen again. If that happens, then it will be Michigan and Michigan State. And if the Blue Jackets ever pick a dude from Ohio State, we'll talk about that too. Because, I like Big Ten schools. I like to talk about it.
That would be awesome. One could dream.
But Blue Jackets prospect CAYDEN LINDSTROM is going to Michigan State. So that's that. We've talked about enough about that for now, and there'll be some other time we talk about it. But we're going to stop talking about that for now because we're going to move on to our player report card series
that
we will be doing First things first, we're going to be talking about Blue Jackets defenseman Eric Gabranson. Me personally, I'm going to give him a B. He got hurt for missed most of the season, and look, I can't really fault him for that, but that's why I got to ding him. That's why he doesn't get an A, because overall I liked him. I thought he played pretty good defensively. He brings a much needed physical grinded out presence that our defense really needs. And when you're 6'5", 220, and you can do that, you're physical, you grind it out, you block shots. He plays good minutes, third line, fourth line, good penalty killing. And it really did make a difference. When he was back, you could tell there was a difference. It got better defensively when he was back for the Blue Jackets. Another thing I like about it is once he got back, it really helped spread things out so that they didn't always have to use Ivan Provorov or Zach Werenski or Dante Fabro as much. They could let them rest a little bit and be a little more fresher in certain situations. Because if we're being honest here, that's what the Blue Jackets were doing for a good chunk of the season, is just throwing Zach Werenski, Dante Fabro, and or Ivan Provorov out there. And for the most part, it did good, but it's nice to know that you didn't have to do that when Eric Branson got back, that you could throw him out there with someone else. So, all right, it's a B. That's where I'm at with Eric Branson. Overall, he's been a good addition to the Blue Jackets. I know some people didn't like the $4 million 4-year deal that he got, but it is what it is. That's what you had to do to get it done, because other teams wanted him too in free agency, and because guys that are 6'5", 220 and are physical and big and can block shots and grind it out and can play defense, that's hard, and those guys don't come along that often. So when that guy comes out there in free agency, teams are going to want that, and they will pay for that. And that's just what happened there. To get it done, the Blue Jackets had to do a deal where it's 4 years, $4 million a year. I know some people didn't like that at that time, but that's what it is. It had to get done to do it. And they don't have Johnny Gaudreau without Eric Branson, because they signed Eric Branson. And as you know, in that behind the battle that the Blue Jackets did, Rick Nash, he's scrambling into Yarmo's office, and like JD and everyone else is hanging out in there. And Rick Nash is like, Johnny Gaudreau wants to sign with us. Johnny Gaudreau wants to sign with us. And then obviously it leaves everyone shocked. Like, wait, what? Like, okay. And then you'll have scrambled like, oh boy, Johnny Gaudreau wants to sign with us. You're like, uh-oh. And obviously he signs with us, but it's like, that doesn't happen without Eric Branson. So, and overall, he's earned the contract. He's been good. So Eric Branson, I like you. It would have been nice to see what you could have done with the full season, but overall, you get a B from me.
Yeah, I have to agree with this one too. How do you grade someone who doesn't show up to class, even if it's not their fault?
Yeah.
I just for the class analogy, like someone could have T-boned your car and you couldn't get to class, so but you're still not there.
Yeah.
That's it. That's unfortunate. What can you do about it? But get better, get healthy, stronger, and just look at next year now. 16 games played. He had 4 assists for 4 points in the year. He was a +1, 6 penalty minutes. So obviously nothing that super stands out that way. Although, excuse me, I just had to yawn there. For the few seasons before that, he played a lot of games. He played 78 games. in 23-24, 70 in 22-23, 78 in 21-22. So, he had been playing a lot of games. He is 33 years old, and he's got a contract of $4 million. He's signed through next year. He's going to be UFA after next season. So, in order for this grade to go to an A, play more games. In order for it to be an A plus, help a team get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, he's a seasoned veteran. Like I said, he's 33 years old. He knows what to do next year to continue his performance. What we expect out of him, we expect him to hit like a truck and to defend the goal. That's about it, right?
And any added extra bonus that you get out of Erica Branson, he's is a defensive defenseman, so he doesn't give you a lot of goals. But when he does give you a goal, there is no in between. It's just slap shot. I'm just gonna put everything I have into it, step right into it, and just slap shot, blow it right past you. We've seen that happen.
Just knock you over with it. It's such a hard shot.
Yeah. We've seen this happen multiple times with the Blue Jackets. When he scores a goal, it's just slap shot. I'm just blowing it past the goalie. You have no chance. That's what it is. There is like no other goal that we've seen Erica Branson score with the Blue Jackets. That's just slap shot. I'm using my 6'5", 220 body to just put everything I have into it and just blow it right past you.
I love it.
But it's still cool, though, when he does it, because, like, damn, he just blew that thing right by him. What a shot.
Yeah.
But anyways, on to the next player for our player report card series. We are now going to talk about Jordan Harris. And he gets a C. And this isn't even like a bad C. It's a C because for the most part, he missed a lot of games. And there were times where he didn't play a lot. When he did play, he looked good. It's just, when you didn't play, it's kind of hard to get a good sample on you when you miss a lot of games. And it's not like he was hurt or anything. It's just that he got healthy scratched. It wasn't even like he played bad. It's just that, there were other guys at that point in time that the Blue Jackets felt like that were doing better and deserved that spot. So that's what it was. Where Jordan Harris really shined was that last 6 games of the season. He went in there and he didn't leave. He was playing really good third line, fourth line minutes defensively for the Blue Jackets. He really stood out there and played really good. So, like, we've seen it. He can be a good defenseman. He scored a goal this season, so that was cool. But, like, we've seen it. He can be a good defenseman for the Blue Jackets. It's just more about, can you do that consistently? And are you able to play more games on a consistent basis so that we can get a more better understanding of what you actually are, a more complete picture, to see like what you are when you're playing consistently instead of what you did this season, which is you play a game here, play a game there, and then miss a good chunk of the games, and then you'd come right back in. So overall, Jordan Harris, you get a C from me.
Yeah, I personally would have to agree with this assessment here. He's a young guy still. It was picked in the 3rd round, 71st overall in 2018. The Blue Jackets picked up Jordan Harris during the Patrick Laine trade, when they also picked up a 2nd round draft pick in 2026 draft.
Yeah.
And while at the time, a lot of people were like, "Oh man, wish you could have got something more for Laine." Getting anything for him was fine, because at that point, like, he was just going to end up not playing at all. Just who knows what would have happened with that. Anyway, crisis averted. So he is 24 years old. This last season, he played 33 games. That is not a lot for him. He had 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points. He was a -1, 6 penalty minutes. So just about double the games. Good Branson, similar stats. Very similar stats, actually. And as a young guy who is healthy scratched a lot, I mean, he did there. He sat there. He did his job. He did what he needed to do most times. I don't think of anything super memorable. As a defenseman, his average time on ice this year was 11 minutes, 23 seconds. That's not a very long time. So, what that shows to me is possibly coach's lack of trust in your play yet. Maybe he's just young and inexperienced. Like his physical side seems there. I don't think that's an issue. But maybe it's just kind of a mental thing. Hopefully, playing with Jack Johnson there and being around Eric Branson will help him kind of develop that mental game a little further. I personally don't really recall watching him super closely this last season, so I don't even really remember much. So he has 1 more season. Wait, no. Hold up. He's an RFA right now, isn't he?
Yes.
Jordan Harrison, RFA. So he's previously was just making 1.4 million. That was his cap hit for the last 2 years. He had a 2-year contract of 1.4 million. What do you think? What do you think happens with that? You think they're going to offer him the same?
You just give him a cheapy contract and say, "Here you go."
Here you go. Don't end up in the minors.
Or, you offer him the cheapy contract. Here you go. He plays for the Blue Jackets. You offer him the cheapy contract, and then he's got a contract. And if you, for whatever reason, you don't think he's going to be in the Blue Jackets' future, you trade him because he's got, and that him having a contract makes that easier.
Right.
Using, get him something. You get something with it, or look, the Blue Jackets need help on defense, and he is a defenseman, and you can just say, hey, you know what? Show up to training camp, fight for a spot.
Right.
See what you got, and go from there.
Right, because like they weren't willing to send him down at all. I don't know if they were afraid of losing him or that they just didn't think he deserved that, but he just wasn't. He was just hovering in the middle of the two of not, being benched in the NHL, but being too good for the AHL. And yeah, I'm curious what will happen with him next season. But yeah, I agree with the C. To improve that to an A for next season, work your ass off, absolutely fight for a spot, get the spot, hold the spot, play at least 60 games. And the one thing that he was pretty good at was getting some blocks and hits. So keep it physical, keep them giveaways down, and maybe you too could have an A+ next year.
All right. Next up on our player report card series, we're talking about Justin Danforth. Justin Danforth gets a B from me. As long as Justin Danforth has been with the Blue Jackets, he's been a very versatile player. He can play center. He can play wing. You can put him anywhere in the lineup. First line, second line, third line, fourth line, and he does good. He's more suited to be a third line, fourth line guy. He can do face-offs. Very versatile guy. Penalty killing. He's, shorthanded, goals, like a little bit of everything. If you need a little something, a little extra energy, a little extra oomph to get you going, that's Justin Danforth. And a perfect example of where this happens is Justin Danforth scores a goal at the Blue Jackets outdoor game to make it 4-3. And this is just a goal where he works his butt off and just makes a play by himself. He hustles to the puck, works his ass off, shoots it, scores off the rebound, and that is a Justin Danforth goal where he just works his ass off and earns it. Just awesome. Justin Danforth has been a good player for the Blue Jackets. Real good third line, fourth line guy. Fun to watch. So, and he is a free agent.
Yeah.
So
Unrestricted.
I'd be okay if they brought him back, but again, I understand if they made the decision not to do it because the Blue Jackets have over $40 million in cap space, but they got to be smart with it, and it may just come down to a point that, you know what, he may be one of those guys like we want to do it, but we have to spend money somewhere else, and he may be one of those cap casualties where it's just like, hey, we like you, but we got to save money and we got to spend it somewhere else. But if they brought him back, I'd be okay with that. So Justin Danforth gets a B from me. Just a good player for the Blue Jackets, good third line, fourth line guy, and he's been fun to watch. So Justin Danforth, you get a B.
Yeah. I am a huge Justin Danforth fan. I mean, were he to have just gotten a few more points this last season, this would have been an easy A because of who he is as a player in person. He is a workhorse. He absolutely got that dog in him. He's relentless. When you see him out on the ice, like I wouldn't want to, like you see him, at the end of the game, in some overtime situations or penalty kills even or power plays. There's a reason he's out there. His experience mixed with his physicality, he's just he's a solid guy out there. He's just I think the Blue Jackets really did miss him when he was injured. That being said, there were people to fill in while he was injured. And next season, there's going to be more people to fill in as well. So he was making the major minimum, I think, $975K, and he's 31 years old right now. He just played 61 games. Realistically, he has 4 seasons in the NHL. He started with the Blue Jackets in 2021, 2022, and he was 28 years old. So he's still kind of fresh-faced to the NHL in some ways, but also getting to that point where he's a hockey veteran at 31 years old. He played 61 games this year, 9 goals, 12 assists for 21 points. He was a -6, 18 penalty minutes, and you see that a little bit. He reminds me in many ways of Sean Corrali. They're both just hard workers. Those really good third line, fourth line workhorses. Those guys that you can they're all reliable. You can kind of plug them in when you need someone there. Last season he did a little bit better. He had 71 games, 10 goals, 16 assists for 26 points. But maybe he got a little more playing time because of lack of there's a lot of other injuries that weren't him. So okay, in my opinion, for me to give Justin Danforth an A or A+ next season, I guess keep doing what you're doing, but find a way to take it to that next level one more time. Because I wouldn't be sad to see them resign him, but I also, just to be real about it, he's at a minimum League One now. If it, maybe another year,
right,
at a very low contract, to see if he can earn that contract. Just because he only got 61 games in this year, maybe that's still a decent amount of games.
Yeah,
but see if he can break that 26-point threshold.
And another thing I like about Justin Danforth is that he is a smaller dude, but he plays much bigger than he actually is, and that is to his benefit. I like that attitude of just you're a smaller dude, but you play bigger than you actually are, and you're tough, and you block shots, and you grind it out, and you work your ass off, and you earn everything you got. And it's fun to watch a guy like that who plays bigger than he actually is. And you can't talk about Justin Danforth this season without talking about that awesome goal that he scored at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. And you know what? I'm going to play that goal because it was that good.
And
So
I see we have a comment. We'll get to you here in just a little bit. I do want to talk about that.
yes, we will talk about that as well. But first, the awesome goal that Justin Danforth scored at the Blue Jackets outdoor game. So there it is. Danforth works for it, gets the puck, shoots, and scores on the rebound.
Just
What a
muscles
goal.
his way through there.
He does. He literally
Good luck.
muscled his way through there. Like, look at this. So, like, he's got like 3 guys around him, and he just kind of like it just bullies his way through there, shoots, stop, and then I'm gonna get it on the rebound. I'm gonna get it on the rebound. And no, Detroit fans, it's not a high stick. I'm sorry, you're cringe. Okay, we're not doing that. Simon Evison lifted Justin Danforth's stick. That's why he gets whacked in the face. So, no. We'll play this one more time, and, we'll get to, that comment. But, no, I'm sorry. Detroit, you lost. Detroit fans, your team lost because your team's defense is ass. It gave up 5 goals. Cam Talbot, your goalie, had an 800 save percentage. Okay, so you're not going to win when you do that. You're just not. That's, and you gave up 5 goals, so you're not going to win like that. So not a high stick, and great play by Justin Danforth to score this awesome goal at the Blue Jackets outdoor game.
Yeah, absolutely solid play. In some ways, we were just talking about, playing bigger than what you are, and in some ways, he reminds me of Nick Blankenberg in
Right.
some aspects, but older and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit bigger too, I think.
Yeah. All right, on to the comments. So
Yeah.
Charles Stanforth on Twitter says, this is just in my opinion, and I absolutely love Boone Jenner, but I feel like the team played so much better with him not on the ice this season. I feel like it might be time to move on from him. What's your opinion? Okay, so like they did play pretty good without Boone Jenner, so I will give you that. The only thing I would push back on is that there's just some things that Boone Jenner is good at is that really what the Blue Jackets missed, which is this. Boone Jenner, he's really good at faceoffs. And when you need to win a faceoff, that's Boone Jenner. They didn't have that. Of course, you got Sean Corrali. He's good at faceoffs too, and there's other guys, but like that's where Boone Jenner really shines. Boone Jenner, much like a Justin Danforth, he is a tough son of a bitch. He's a tough guy, a grinder, block shots, the type of guy that wins puck battles along the wall, the board, good board battles. He's the type of guy that's right in front of the net that scores greasy goals right in front of the net. Oh, that just jams it in, deflections, whether that be 5-on-5, power play, stuff. He's good defensively, like stuff like that. Is he as good as Boone Jenner used to be? No, but he's still good, still Boone Jenner. So there's that. And also, when Boone Jenner was put on that second line with Kent Johnson and Adam Fantilli, it was a good line that really stepped up. And it's one of the better lines that the Blue Jackets had all season. In part, from my perspective, why it worked is because, again, Boone Jenner's that type of guy that's just going to grind it out and just go get those pucks. He's going to work his ass off, and he's going to go get those pucks, and he's going to get it to Kent Johnson or Adam Fantilli. And this isn't to say that other guys can't do that. They can. But like stuff like that is where Boone Jenner really shines. You need guys like that can go do the dirty work, win the tough puck battles along the boards, get the puck to your teammates. You need guys that can stand right in front of the net and get deflection goals or jam it in, win face-offs, just gut it out, grind it out, block shots, win face-offs. That's Boone Jenner. So in some ways, yeah, the Blue Jackets not having Boone Jenner, it didn't hurt them as much. They're still able to play good, score goals, win games, stuff like that. But in some ways, not having Boone Jenner hurt the Blue Jackets. There is a point in time where the Blue Jackets will eventually move on from Boone Jenner because look, he's he's in his 30s now. He's getting up there. It could be where he's done in a year or two, or it could be where he plays another 5-10 years. That's kind of the tricky thing with when you're getting up there in age with hockey. And when you've played the way that Boone Jenner has his entire career, which is that tough, hard-nosed, grinded out style where you're winning tough puck battles along the boards, you're playing in front of the net, greasy deflection goals, and you're getting cross-checked and you're cross-checking back. That does add up over time. So they will move on from him eventually. That's just me though. That's just me.
So I have to agree with a lot of what you said, but I have maybe a couple different thoughts on it. We're gonna find out this next year, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna find out literally this next year. Well, we have to. I mean, we literally have to because it's a contract year. So no matter what, we're gonna know if they want to rehire him or not. But personally, what I think could happen next season, I think that we're gonna see Boone Jenner around, maybe not as quite a critical role.
Right.
I think that there are those guys who are able to play that top line now. Those guys are able to fill that second line. And Boone Jenner's a fantastic player. I'm not trying to knock on him at all in any of this, but we talked about this already this past season. He's kind of was forced into that top line role, which he does fairly well, but to get that true top line center.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned him fitting well on the second line. Yeah, I think he did too. I think he did fit well there too. So if it's a second line role, that's fine. I just think that I don't think we're going to see him on the first line. Now, he's $3.75 million for next year. After that, he's a UFA. So I think two things are going to happen next year. The Blue Jackets are going to make a push for the playoffs. And if they don't make the playoffs, I think Boone Jenner gets traded to a team that is trying to make a playoff run.
Yeah.
If they do make the playoffs, he is with the team, and after that, who knows what? Because I really think that not that he doesn't deserve the captaincy at all, but I think that there's another couple guys you could argue for captaincy coming up soon.
Yep.
And he's just getting to be. It feels like how I kind of felt Nick Foligno was his final year.
Right.
Not absolutely nothing against him. Loved having him here. I still have a lot of love for Nick Foligno. A huge fan. But the reality is it's business, and there's a lot of spots and guys coming up through the ranks. So, is it time to move on from him? Yes, but not yet.
Right.
And Charles has another comment here that mentions kind of why that spot was open for him. He says, do you guys feel it? Johnny Hockey was still here that he would have taken more of a captain role over Boone, or even just that top line spot, really.
Yeah.
That way we could have had someone else in the center there as well.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of exasperated the issue, but even still, Boone was on that line last year. So
And
Yeah, I think it gets filled. I think a spot gets filled,
yeah,
and I think Monahan and Fantilli are the guys to do it.
yeah,
Or hopefully, it would be sick to see Cole Sillinger get come up those lines here too. So
yeah.
it's just my opinion.
And FD Duck is right to point this out, is that there are other guys that eventually will be here for that captain spot. And the two guys to me that really stand out, it's Zach Werenski and Adam Fantilli.
Yeah,
And I know Adam Fantilli, it's only his second season. So like he just got here. But when you watch how Adam Fantilli talks, how he presents himself, there's just a certain vibe, a certain feeling, a certain way that you look at him that you just get that, like, yeah, that guy is going to be a captain someday. That's just how it is. Just the way he talks and the way he acts, you see it. That's just how someone who wants to be a captain and will eventually be a captain is. That's how they talk. That's how they act. It's how they feel. It's there. And that's how it is about Zach Werenski. Because he is one of the alternate captains, but essentially because Boone Jenner gets hurt and Erica Branson gets hurt, Zach Werenski basically had to be the guy that had to step up and basically be that de facto captain role where you're
he
captain
was
by
natural at it.
yeah,
Yeah,
where you're natural at it and you're just captain by default because all the other guys are gone. And he really stepped it up. He was really good at the whole captain thing, even though technically he's not the captain, but he was really good at it. He really stepped it up and he was a good representation of not only himself, but the Blue Jackets and the city of Columbus. He's the guy that's going to be the next captain for the Blue Jackets whenever Boone Jenner is done. And that is a feeling that is shared by many Blue Jackets fans. You go in person or you go on like Twitter and you see Blue Jackets fans talking about potential captains. Zach Werenski is the first name that always pops up. Then there's Adam Fantilli, but it's always Zach Werenski. So I absolutely could see it that someday down the road, Zach Werenski is your next captain for the Blue Jackets whenever Boone Jenner is done doing that.
yeah, and no rush, but I think that because of the way that the contracts are worked out, I think even that was kind of planned on a
Yeah.
bit. As much grief as we want to give Yarmo sometimes, like, he wasn't stupid. He lasted in that position for a long time, albeit without certain without success sometimes. But anyway, yeah, no, great questions. If you two would like to ask us anything or comment on the show, we get the comments best from YouTube and Twitter. I guess that's the only places we're streaming. Just comment on the actual stream itself. If you're on Twitter and we comment on like one of my reposts or something, I don't think it does it. But
Yeah.
anyway, Charles says, I think all the media attention that Zach got this season playing with USA, I think he's ready for that role. I think he looks comfortable. Like I said, he's a
Yep.
natural at speaking, being on camera. I think maybe a few years ago he was a little more soft spoken and maybe wasn't ready for that. But
Yeah.
he's changed. He's grown up.
I can say, I know I agree with what Charles is getting at here is that he really did step it up, and I really do think that attention that he was getting that for USA, Team USA really helped him step up, become a better person, better leader, but also just the season that Zach Werenski just had in general, which is just really good. It really got him the attention that he really deserved. You like the Blue Jackets, Zach Werenski is a good player. You know this. You watch the Blue Jackets play. Zach Werenski is a good player. He's proven it time and time again with the Blue Jackets that Zach Werenski is a good player. He is awesome. He's good at what he does. And some people who don't pay attention to the Blue Jackets know that too. But generally speaking, he doesn't get the attention that he probably deserves, in my opinion. But because of the season that he just had, which is ridiculously good, and what he did playing with Team USA, that really helped him stand out and get the attention he deserves. It's kind of reminiscent of what happened with Joe Burrow and the Bengals, where you're an Ohio sports fan. If you watch the Bengals, Joe Burrow is a good player, but he plays for a small market team, so maybe he doesn't get as much attention as he probably should. But again, Joe Burrow just had just a ridiculously good season to the point to where he made people talk about him from a national media perspective. Similar thing just happened with Zach Werenski. So I agree with everything what Charles has said here. And then he just said something again.
Yeah, we got one more question here.
He says, do you think our young talent had too much success early this season and we're going to have a fall off next year? That is a possibility. I just don't see that happening because I do not think Don Waddell or Dean Evison would put up with that, because there is an expectation now that, like, you're still a team, that you're a young team with upcoming talent. You're building yourself up, but now you're getting to that point where you're almost out of the rebuild, and now it's expected that, okay, you've shown that you can be good enough to fight for a playoff spot. You didn't get it, but you're shown that you're good enough for that. Now the next step is show that you're not only good enough for a playoff spot, but get in and then go from there.
Yeah.
There is and this experience that our young talent had and the success they had, that was good for them, not just now, but also the future and their development. That was good. The one thing I guess I could say is that starting next season, it's going to be harder because teams aren't necessary. You can't just go in there and just play and expecting that no one is going to think much about you. You just can't do that anymore.
They can't take anybody by surprise anymore.
No, they can't. They cannot take anyone by surprise anymore. So that's going to be a harder challenge. Teams are going to take you more seriously than they used to. This isn't to say they didn't take you any seriously. They did, but not as much. It's going to be more of a challenge now because teams are going to, like, ooh, the Blue Jackets, like, that's going to be a tough one. We got to play a good game here. Otherwise we're going to lose this.
I guarantee they'll be studying Marchenko a lot too in this
offseason. For sure. They're going to be looking at Marchenko. They're going to be looking at Zach Werenski. They're going to be looking at Kent Johnson. They're going to be looking at Sean Monahan. They're going to be looking at Adam Fantilli, Dmitry Voronkov. Like, this is it. Like, you got to be ready for this now. And I think they are going to be ready for it, but we got to be honest with ourselves. This is going to be a challenge now that it is going to be harder now because you can't just sneak up on teams. It's going to be harder, but I think they're going to be ready for it. And also true, but you can't expect a March like we did this year and either expect to make the playoffs. That's true too. That little stretch there in March where they didn't play very good, that is a reason why you didn't make the playoffs. We've talked about this as well, but there's other reasons why the Blue Jackets did not make the playoffs. Reasons being, you were not very good on the road. You only had, most of your wins were at home. Now, as the season went along, the Blue Jackets got better on the road, but still not good enough. 26 of your 40 wins were at home. That needs to be better. You need to get better on the road. Another thing is this. The first 7 games in overtime the Blue Jackets played, they went 1-6. That's not going to get it done. You need to be better at that because you win some of those games, you're in. And again, the Blue Jackets got better in overtime as the season went along. But you can't start the season 1-6 and you're in overtime. You just cannot do that. It's not a good recipe for success. You're not going to go very far. You're just not. And then the road power play, we've talked about this, but the road power play for the Blue Jackets was awful. for whatever reason, I don't understand this, but the Blue Jackets were ridiculously good on the power play at home. It was basically a almost guaranteed goal just about every time they had a power play chance at home. And yet, when they play on the road, they have a power play. It was awful. And for the most part, they didn't score. And that's another reason why you didn't win games, because you had so many chances to score on the power play and put it away on the road, and you couldn't do it. And then the other team goes the other way, they shoot and score. That's why you lose. And then there are so many times, this happened multiple times. You're on the road, and the Blue Jackets would have these periods, you give up a goal or two pretty quickly, and now you're down 2-3 goals, and then that's why you lose, because you score a goal or two, but you weren't able to dig yourself out of that hole because you had that bad period where you give up 1, 2, 3 goals quickly like that. You just can't, you just can't do that. So there are reasons why they didn't get in, and there's many, like stuff, multiple reasons that we've talked about that they do need to get better at.
Yeah.
But the flip side, the Blue Jackets were really good at scoring goals, and they were fun, ridiculously good on offense, top 10 in scoring, one of the best teams in 5-on-5, really good on the power play at home. And the Blue Jackets scored 6 goals 15 times.
Yeah.
So it's like you're good on offense, but you need to fix the defense, which is, hey, that was the Bengals this season too. They were good on offense, but oh god, their defense was bad. So Blue Jackets and Bengals, you need to do better on defense and just keep going on offense.
So we got one more question here, and I don't know, did we finish? We finished all the report cards?
Yeah, we're done.
Okay, cool. Because this next question is going to lead us into actually our next topic, and from there we're going to probably start kind of a couple more things to talk about yet. So here, Charles asks, what do you think is going to happen with Jet Greaves, and do you think we should be concerned about his performance with the Monsters during the playoffs? So in order to know what and talk about what's going to happen with Jet Greaves, we have to know and talk about what's going to happen with Daniil Tarasov, because he is a RFA currently. He'll be if he waits out this 1 year, he'll be a UFA next year. So if shit hits the fan, he absolutely doesn't want to go play in the AHL or something. Like I said, that's if shit hits the fan. So Merzlikins has 2 more years left on his contract, 2025-26 and 2026-27. Jack Reeves is signed next year. He has a one-way contract, although he will most likely be making the least of all 3 goaltenders, which would give them an option for sending him down to Cleveland. Now, because he has a one-way contract, I don't know that he's going to be waivers exempt.
No.
So he's got to stay one way or the other. You just cannot risk that with Jet Greaves. He will get taken off of waivers. Yeah. Guaranteed. Now, Daniil Tarasov, he's 26 years old. He just got off of his worst season he's had ever. And he made $1.05 million for the last 3 years. And he's an RFA. So what do I think happens here? The Blue Jackets would much rather get either better performance out of him, something out of him, or get someone for him. Goalies can be a hot commodity around the league. What they would most likely do would be on a contract first. That makes it a little easier to trade someone. Because Jet Greaves looked great in the NHL. I understand maybe he didn't do quite as well in the AHL. I think that those players might be a little more prepared for him as well. They knew he was their starter goalie, so those players have probably were preparing for that game, watching his video. He's still a little bit new to the NHL, so I think he was, like we talked about, able to surprise people maybe a little bit more than he will be next year. Next year's going to be a tough year for him. I can't wait to see what he can do. I think that he has the potential to be the starting goalie. I don't think that looking at the contracts that he should, judging by just the contracts,
Right.
but the potential's there. So no, I don't think we should be too concerned. I think that he is going to be full-time NHL next year, and I don't think we're going to see him healthy scratched very often.
No. It's just, you want to know what do you think? You ask Charles, you ask what do you think is going to happen with Jet Greaves? We don't know yet because look, we got to know what's going to happen with Elvis Merzlikins and Danil Tarasov. There's your answer. You know, Jet Greaves will be with the Blue Jackets because they're not sending them down. But we need to know what happens with Elvis Merzlikins and Danil Tarasov first. That's just what it is. And Danil Tarasov, it's a consistency thing. Sometimes he's not good, sometimes he is. But when he's good, he really stands out. His best moments with the Blue Jackets was the second half of the 2023-2024 season. He really shined there, played really good, strong outings, and he's a big reason why the Blue Jackets won games during the second half of the season. It really stood out. And there are things that you like about Danilo Tarasov. He is 6'5", 200 plus pounds. He's big. He's athletic. He fills up the net, and it can be hard to shoot at when he's in the net. And he's made saves because, like, oh, how did he do that? Athleticism. There's things that you like about him. And if he would be put on waivers, he would get claimed too. So you'd rather not have that happen as well. So the best thing is what you would, like Hefty Duck said, is that you would hope that you get the good Danil Tarasov on a more consistent basis if he's still with the Blue Jackets, or you use him to get something. And it's the same thing with Elvis Merzlikins. Elvis Merzlikins, he needs to be more consistent. Sometimes he's not good. Sometimes he is good. But when he is good, he really stands out. He really shines. You can see it. Like Danil Tarasov, there have been games that the Blue Jackets win because of Danil Tarasov or because of Elvis Merzlikins, where they just play a really good game and they win because of that, where they make big saves to keep them in the game and they win because of that. You know, the outdoor game against Detroit is a big reason. It's a perfect example of why the Elvis Merzlikins really shined in that game. He is a big reason why the Blue Jackets win that game. You know, there's other games you can say that about Elvis Merzlikins. The game against the Devils. The Blue Jackets win that one 4-2, in part because Elvis Merzlikins played really good, made some big saves, keep the Blue Jackets in the game to give the Blue Jackets a chance to settle things down, get going, and score some goals. Similar thing has happened with, Danil Tarasov. So that's what we need to know with Jet Greaves is what's going to happen with them. We know that Jet Greaves is going to be with the Blue Jackets. We just don't know in what capacity is he going to be with the Blue Jackets. Until you figure out, in my opinion, what's going to happen with Elvis Merzlikins and Danil Tarasov, you just, you don't know. And Jet Greaves has played awesome for the Blue Jackets. Last season played some good games, helped them win some games, played good for the Monsters. He's a big reason why they went to the conference final. This season, it's a similar story. Played good with the Monsters all season long. And then when given a chance to play with the Blue Jackets, he was awesome. He helped the Blue Jackets win some games. That game in January against the Blues, he really stood out, played really good. He is basically the reason why the Blue Jackets win that game 2-1 because he made some big saves to keep them in the game that allowed the Blue Jackets a chance to get going and score some goals. And then most obviously, when people are talking about Jet Greaves, they think about that outstanding play that he had in the final stretch of the season in March and April, where he played really good, including the final 6 games where he didn't lose a game and played really good and stepped it up. He is a reason why the Blue Jackets were where they were, where you were fighting for a playoff spot 81 games of an 82 game season. But we've talked about this. There is a little concern there that you haven't played a lot of games yet. We don't necessarily know what you have when you can do a full 82 game schedule. And another thing is, the book is out on you now. Teams can go back, watch the tape, and they can see what you're bad at, what you're good at, and how to counter you. And it's going to be Jet Greaves' job to figure out how to get around that. You know, and it's best that you still have someone like a Danil Tarasov or Elvis Merzlikins as a backup, just in case Jet Greaves isn't ready yet. Because the worst thing that you can do is get rid of one or both, and then Jet Greaves plays and he's not ready, and now you're in a bad spot. And I've seen this with some Blue Jackets fans. They're just ready to give Jet Greaves the job. They're ready to just throw him in there 100%. I can see why you say that. But let's settle down here. Let's wait. Let's wait and hold off on that. And when he's ready, he'll be ready. But I don't think it's quite there yet. Maybe he earns it, but just to throw him in there just because, no. That's just not a smart thing. You can ruin someone's confidence and development by doing that, by just throwing them in there just because. You don't do that. So, you say, Charlie, what do we do with Jet Greaves? What's going to happen with Jet Greaves? We have some ideas, but to exactly, we just don't know that, and that's going to have to play out. That's just what I think. And I've kind of gone on a little rant there. And then Charles says, thanks for answering all my questions and taking all my questions. Hope you have a good night. Thank you for watching the show, Charles, and thank you for commenting.
Yeah. Thanks for being here, man. We appreciate it. Like I mentioned, if you want to leave a comment, feel free. We like to talk about, as long as they're fairly appropriate, fairly, they don't have to be. We'll talk about them on the show and whatnot. So, but we have just a couple more things to talk about real quick. So we'll go on to the next thing, which is one thing that we love doing here. No, it's not ripping on Ohio State. It's quite the opposite, ripping on a Michigan team.
Yeah. So we've ripped on Detroit fans many times during our show because of their idiotic cringe of, oh, it was a high stick. It was a high stick. Boo-hoo, it was a high stick. We lost the outdoor game because of a high stick. No, you didn't. And it's not a high stick because, the refs thought it was an embellishment trying to get a call. And, Justin Danforth's stick gets lifted by a Detroit player. That's why he gets high stick, but you want to ignore that. But that's besides the point. Another reason why you didn't lose because of a high stick, because going into the Blue Jackets outdoor game, Detroit had a negative 13 goal differential. I'll say that again. Detroit had a negative 13 goal differential. I'm sorry, but you are not going to win when you have a negative 13 goal differential. You're just not. And if you do, that's like a once in a lifetime thing. Generally speaking, if you have a negative 13 goal differential going into a game, you are not going to win. So Detroit fans, you didn't lose because of a high stick, even though it wasn't a high stick. You lost because your defense is ass. Your defense is ass. That is why you lose. Okay? And your ass defense was proven to be a detriment to Detroit that game. You know why? Like we said earlier on in the show, you gave up 5 goals. Your goalie had an .800 save percentage. And not only did you give up 5 goals, but 2 times in that game, it was tied up at 1. You give up 2 quick goals in a minute, less than a minute, 33 seconds to be exact. And now you're down 3-1. And then the second time, you tied it up at 3. And guess what happened again? Your ass defense let you down again by giving up 2 quick goals in less than a minute to make it 5-3. That is why you lose, because you're piss poor ass defense. That is why you are not going to win when your defense is ass and you have a negative 13 goal differential going into the Blue Jackets outdoor game. You're just not going to win. So if you wanted to win, you don't have your ass defense let you down, because that's what happened. Your Detroit, your ass defense let you down. That's the truth. It's not because of a high stick, even though it wasn't. You lost that game because your defense was terrible. It was ass. Just saying. Just throwing that one out there.
Yeah, I know, it's funny. Quite recently, I even saw what quite possibly was maybe just some rage bait of someone talking about that moment and how that's one of the Blue Jackets' most controversial moments and something like that. It's like, I don't know if you've watched this team for a very long time, but I don't think that's the most controversial thing that's happened with the Blue Jackets. I don't even want to get into it right now.
No. So, no. And Detroit fans, you're no better than the Michigan fans that haven't stopped complaining ever since Ohio State beat you in 2016, because you want to say, oh, JT Barrett, who was the quarterback for Ohio State at the time, was short. And why that matters, because it was a 4th and 1 in double overtime, and Ohio State had the chance to either kick the field goal to tie it or to go for it. And Ohio State made the decision to not kick the field goal and go for it. And had they not gotten it, they would have lost the game. And they like to say, oh, JT was short. JT was short. No, he wasn't. First down. Suck it, Michigan fans. He was not short. First down. And again, much like the Detroit fans that like to ignore the fact that they lost because their defense was awful, Michigan lost that game. You know why? Because they turned the ball over 3 times, and Ohio State scored on those 3 turnovers. You cannot win the game when you turn the ball over 3 times and the other team scores 3 times. And another thing is, I went back and watched this game, the Ohio State-Michigan game, on YouTube back in 2016, and you watch that. Ohio State's game plan is JT Barrett run the ball, JT Barrett throw the ball. Maybe you'd hand it off to the running back, but 99% of the time it was JT Barrett run the ball, JT Barrett pass the ball. And Michigan, you could not stop it. So no, you didn't lose because, oh, JT was short. He wasn't. You lost because you're deep. You turn the ball over 3 times and you lose because of that. Just like these Detroit fans that like to ignore the, oh, it was a high stick. It wasn't. No, you lost because your defense is ass. It has gone awful. All right. I've gone on a nice little rant here, ripping on Michigan /Michigan fans /Detroit fans, which is awesome. But that's all I got. Hefty Doug, you got anything to say on this, or we can move on if you want.
We can move on. You covered it.
All right. So one last time, Detroit fans, you did not lose because of a high stick. That wasn't a high stick. You lost because of a negative 13 goal differential going into that game, and your defense is terrible. Your defense is ass. That is why you lose. Anyways, rant over. Next thing is Dean Evison. The news came out recently that he was 5th in Jack Adams Award trophy voting, which is awful and should not have happened. He should have been at least top 3, as you can see on the screen. There it is. Dean Evison is number 5 in Jack Adams voting, which he should have been top 3. This is just ridiculous that he was number 5. That is stupid. It is wrong. I hate it. It should not be like that. Dean Evison needs to be top 3. Would have been nice if he would have won it, but top 3 is where he needs to be, because we've talked about this on the show many times. But going into this season, the Blue Jackets were expected to not be very good. They were supposed to be another team that was picking top 10 again. And then you throw in the fact that it's like, well, all the issues aside, yeah, Patrick Laine with all those issues, but he was good at scoring goals, and he's away. And it's like, oh, how are they going to score goals? Oh, you lose Johnny Gaudreau, too, because of some stupid idiot drunk driver made the stupid idiotic decision to drunk drive, and then he whacks Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew Gaudreau, and now you don't have Johnny Gaudreau. And from a hockey standpoint, strategically, you're like, crap, what are we going to do now? Because he's a big part of your team and your offense, and that hurt you. And there was other stuff going on too. And yet, through all of that, the Blue Jackets did way better than expected. They were not one of the worst teams in the NHL. They were not picking top 10. They'll be picking 14 and 20. They did way better than expected. They just missed the playoffs by 1 game, fighting for a playoff spot, 81 on game 81 of game 82. Dean Evison made it so much better. He should be in top 3. And then people like to say, well, if he made the playoffs, then, maybe he could have won it or could have been higher or something like that. Yeah, okay, maybe. I see what you're getting at there. But the issue is, I don't think that's the case, because knowing what we know now, even if the Blue Jackets made the playoffs, I don't think they would have put him top 3. He would have been 5. So the whole, maybe he should have made the playoffs, he could have done better, in my opinion, is not true. He still would have been where he is right there. So just my opinion, throwing this one out there, that Dean Evison should have been top 3 in Jack Adams voting. That's just me, though. And it's just ridiculous that didn't happen, but it is what it is. Dean Evison should have been top 3 in Jack Adams award voting.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think that many thought that the Canadiens coach would have gotten it too. Well, obviously they beat the Blue Jackets to get into the playoffs, and then they lost the Capitals, and the Capitals coach is who ends up getting it. So I honestly think, yeah, in order for the Dean Evison to have gotten it, I think he would have had to beat the Caps. Which, like, it would have been sick to see him get there and try.
Yeah.
Who knows? Caps were steamrolling this year.
Yeah. So that's just Dean Evison. He should have gotten it. Anyways, so I saw this and I want to share this. If you got $750, then you can own a game-worn jersey from Cam Atkinson from the 2019-2020 season, which I'm kind of surprised that this thing still exists. You think that would have been gone by now, but I guess it still exists. So that's cool that you get a piece of Blue Jackets history right here. A Blue Jackets third jersey that is Cam Atkinson, and $750. I like looking at these websites, these game-worn websites, to see what kind of stuff they have, because it's cool what they get. Here's a game-used stick or a game-used jersey. Here's a game-used stick, game-used pants or skates. Here's a game-used puck, and it was scored by this guy from this team, and it was assisted by this guy and this guy. and it was in, the third period at 2:22 in the third period, and all this stuff. I like looking at this stuff. It's just cool to see what they have, what they get, jerseys and pucks and sticks and helmets and pants and so much more. So that's cool. Another one I found that I thought was cool. They have a game used Cam Atkinson jersey that was from the 2016-2017 season that was used in the playoffs that year. So that's cool. So
Nice.
I gotta call them out. Price wise, it's $995, but
Damn.
yeah.
I mean, I guess I get it. It's part of the whole history of everything, but sheesh, man.
Blue Jackets history, and it's a playoff. It's a jersey that was worn in the playoffs. And it's Cam Atkinson, who's one of the best players that the Blue Jackets have ever had.
Yeah.
Though I got to call him out here. So they're wrong here. This had to be used in game one or either game 1, game 2, or game 4 because the Blue Jackets lost that series in 5. Because it says, this was worn in games 3 and 4. No, it was not. Games 3 and 4 of that series was in Columbus.
Holy shit! Only Kevin would notice. I love it.
So
that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
So I'm sorry. Migrate. Get in here and fix that. Get in because you're telling because if people didn't know that, you think you're getting something from game 3 or 4, and it's not.
Right.
You're getting something that was either used in games 1, 2, or 5.
Which albeit are cool, but they're not that game. That game was massive, right? Like that.
So no, because games 3 and 4 were home games, so the Blue Jackets, that would have been a blue jersey that Cam Atkinson wore, not away. So just throwing that one out there, Migrate, you need to get in here and you need to fix that. That's either games 1, 2, or 5, because games 3 and 4 were home games. Just throwing that one out there. Anyways. Let's see here. I think that is that it? Is that all? Yeah, okay. I think that is it for now.
Yeah, for now.
We can share our stuff and then we can get out of here. So, first things first. Like we did earlier on in the show. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please tell your family. Please tell your friends. Please like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. Good guy, life of the party, fun to talk to. Always enjoyed seeing you at family get-togethers and holidays like Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter and so much more, and family parties, get-togethers. Love talking hockey with you. Would be great to still be able to talk to you and get your thoughts about how the Blackhawks season went, because you were a big Blackhawks guy, but the Blue Jackets became your second favorite team, and you did it for me, so that was cool. So thank you for that. And we gave you a Blue Jackets hat that you would wear, and when you had a cooking job at a restaurant, you'd always wear it, and your fellow coworkers love the hat, and you always talked about how people loved the Blue Jackets hat that you would wear. Oh, what's that hat? Oh, it's Blue Jackets. Oh, it's hockey. Oh, that's cool. So that was that. You're also a big Cubs guy, and I'd like to ask, what are your Cubs are doing pretty good this season, and to ask what your thoughts on how the Cubs are doing from your perspective. But got the Union Blue Soldier scarf, and you supported that, so that was cool. But unfortunately, you're not here anymore. You died back in September. But shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. I wish you're still here so I could talk some hockey with you. Shout out to my awesome Uncle Doc. Thank you for everything.
Oh yeah, rest in peace, Uncle Doc.
So, our next show.
We'll announce what our next show is. I need to talk to you real quick afterwards.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. Well,
it'll be next week though.
It will be next. Okay. Well, I had a slide ready to go.
I forgot to talk to you beforehand. Sorry.
Well. All right. Well, I had a slide ready to go, but you know what?
I'm ruining everything. I know.
It happens. So I had a slide ready to go, but I'm not going to use it. So you people out there watching this show, you will not get to see the slide that I had ready for it. Oh, well. It was a good slide. I put some work into it, but oh, well, you'll never get to see it. So anyways,
you can change it and reuse it next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just have to change it. Anyways,
oh, shit.
Oh, well. So I will put this up on the screen because, no one's going to change it. No one's going to say, oh,
change it last minute. Yeah,
anything.
I know.
So, okay, got to put this up on the screen. So here we go. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. And you probably noticed because we do a lot of cool marches, like for the Blue Jackets home opener or playoff games. And the next one we're going to do is for the Blue Jackets home opener this upcoming season. So check that out. And here we have a video of just different marches that Union Blue Soldiers has done over the years. And I'll back this up. As you can see, there's Stinger. He's joined us for a couple marches, and people who throw the T-shirts into the crowd at Blue Jackets games have joined us, and the marches have been featured on TV and so much more. Go ahead.
Last season at the march, I was up at the front of the building that came to an end. I'm sorry, it was the season before that actually,
Yeah.
and one of the T-shirt throwers like bumped into me, and she turned around, she's like, "Oh, sorry," and just like hands me a T-shirt. I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah!" And you know what? It was my size.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go! Hooray for being extraordinarily average sized.
That's right. But it's been featured on TV. If you've been to a Blue Jackets game within the last 5 years or so, you've seen it on the scoreboard at a Blue Jackets game. It's featured on ticket commercials and during Blue Jackets games. It's been on the Blue Jackets YouTube channel, on ABC6 News, the Columbus Dispatch. It's been talked about on 97.1 The Fan. So you should, just check out the Union Blue Soldiers March, every Blue Jackets home opener. It's really a fun time for Blue Jackets fans to come together and cheer on the Blue Jackets. Usually get about, let's say, 80 to 100 people. That got bumped up to like 200 plus because the Blue Jackets have been involved with it. But check it out. Check out the Union Blue Soldiers March. It's a fun event for all Blue Jackets fans to come together to cheer on the Blue Jackets. So check out the march. It's pretty fun. So there's there's that. And one last time, Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. Check out Union Blue Soldiers on all social media platforms. Check out Union Blue Soldiers. So that's it for me. And Hefty Duck can say his stuff, and then we can get out of here.
Right on. Well, I just want to do a huge shout out to everyone. So far, this is our third season of Brew Jackets, and so far 2025 has shown us the most downloads of our audio that we have gotten in any season we've got. So huge thanks to our audio listeners, but big thanks to our live viewers too. We stick with it all through summer, so even if we change by a day or two, if something comes up, we'll be there every week throughout the entire summer. So stay tuned for some more Blue Jackets news coming up next week. We'll got some more, I think a couple more report cards to go. We're kind of dwindling down the last couple here. We got draft picks to talk about coming up. We got more goalie discussion because there was one other thing that we didn't talk about today that I'm teasing for next week that we'll talk about then. So keep an eye out for all that. Follow us on all of our social media. Hit the buttons wherever you're at. Like, subscribe, all that good, happy, fun stuff. Thank you all again once. Geez, it's getting late. Thank you all once again for being here, and we will see you here next week. See ya.